Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is stitch number 161. It's called the Lattice Shell Stitch. Now remember, I have over 200 and some Stitch of the Week patterns on my website, creativegrandma.net. They are all free patterns. Just click on Stitch of the Week, scroll down to the stitch you want, click on the name of the stitch and the pattern will pop up. You can download it or you can print it immediately. So today we're going to learn how to do this easy one row repeat. So I have 3 samples to show you today. This first sample was made using the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre in the color Jazzy, a beautiful pink color. You can see all those different colors. Now all these colors did not show up because my sample's so small. That's why you're seeing the difference in color here. So this is the first sample, this is the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. So it's going to look the same on the back as it does the front. Just a super easy, I call it a TV watching stitch pattern. And what's best of all, it's a one row repeat. Now this pattern is a multiple of 8 plus 4. So you would chain 8 again, keep chaining in multiples of 8 until you get it to the width you want. Then you add 4 more chains. So that is the first sample. The second sample I made using the Premier Basics. This is a number 4 worsted weight yarn, a value yarn, nice soft plump yarn. This is the front, and when you turn it over, this is the back. And I just think an all white project just has a very classic look to it. So let's move on to the third sample. The third sample, I used Premier Basic Multi in one of their brand new colors. This is Sherbert Multi. So this is what the yarn looks like, and this is what it looks like done in this stitch pattern. So for the spring summer season, I could see this for a nice summertime blanket, something to just take the chill off, but it's not real heavy. That's the front. And when you turn it over, that's the back. So for today's video, I am using the Premier Basics in the color white, and I'm using the recommended hook size I9 or 5.5 millimeter. So whatever yarn you're going to use to practice this stitch, just look on the label and it's going to tell you the recommended hook size. So I suggest just use the recommended hook size. So let's go ahead and get started. So to get started, I'm going to tie a double knot around my hook. This is how my gram taught me when I was 11 years old. You just tie a knot like you're tying your shoe. So I tie 1 knot, and then I just tie a second knot. Now I do this because that's the way she taught me. You can attach your yarn to your hook using whichever method you prefer. Now again, the multiple is 8 plus 4, so I am going to chain 28. That is the multiple of 8 times 3 for 24, and then you add 4 more chains for 28. So we're going to chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is our first multiple. Then we're going to chain 8 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 8 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to do that until you get your chain to the width you want. Once you get to the width you want, then you want to add 4 more chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. For a total of 28 chains. So now we're ready to begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to work a single crochet into the second chain from hook. Now you can go right into the chain, or you can go into the back bumps where you just turn your chain and go into the back bump. Now, if I was making a blanket, I would go into the back bump, or if I was making a finished project. But because I'm practicing, I'm just going to go right into the top loop of that chain. So let's begin row 1. You're going to skip that first chain, insert into the next chain, the second chain from hook, and work a single crochet. Yarn over, pull through that chain, you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just made a single crochet. You're going to single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain, single crochet into the next chain. Continue and work 1 single crochet in each chain across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1. I'm over at the end of row 1. You should have a total of 27 single crochet stitches. When you're working this pattern, you're going to have 1 less stitch in your first row than your starting chain. So if you chain 100, you would have 99 stitches. If you chain 50, you would have 49 stitches, etc. So rows 1 and 2 are our base row. Row 3 will be the row that you repeat over and over again. So let's go ahead and begin row 2. To begin row 2, we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to turn your work. We're going to skip this beginning chain 4 because this counts as the first double crochet plus a chain 1. So then the instructions will tell you to skip the next stitch. So you're going to skip this next stitch, and we're going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over. You already have your first stitch made with the chain 4, so you're skipping the next stitch, insert into the next stitch, and work a double crochet. Yarn over, pull back through. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You just made a double crochet. Now we're going to begin our repeat. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work 5 double crochet to form your shell stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the next stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. And you can see how your repeat is forming. So let's do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work 5 double crochets, and this forms your shell stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and double crochet into the next stitch. And that is the end of the repeat, and you can see how your pattern is forming. So let's do the repeat again, and your repeat ends in the very last stitch. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work 5 double crochet to form your shell stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and into the very last stitch, you're going to work a double crochet. And if you're new to crocheting, please use stitch markers so you know where the beginning and end of each row is. So row 2 is finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stitch marker right in the top of the very last stitch that we made, that double crochet. Go ahead and put a stitch marker in that last stitch. Now, I should have showed you this at the beginning when you made your chain 4. What we're going to do is we're going to put a stitch marker into the second chain. You're going to count up 1, 2, put it in the second chain of that beginning chain 4. Now, most of the time when you do a double crochet and you chain 4, the chain 3 acts as the top of the double crochet. Well, I did not like the way it looked, so I started putting my double crochet when I come back over in the second chain. If you don't like that, then you can put it in the third chain if you wish. It's all up to you. So now we're ready to begin row 3, which will be our repeat row. To begin row 3, you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to turn your work. We're going to skip the first stitch, we're going to skip the chain 1, and we're going to double crochet in the top of this first double crochet stitch. Yarn over, insert into the top of that double crochet stitch under the top 2 loops, work a double crochet. Then you want to remove your stitch marker, and then you want to come over. You're going to have 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to put it into the second chain. But if you prefer, you can also put it in the third chain. It's all where you want your last stitch to go. I just prefer the second chain. Now we're going to begin our repeat. We're going to work a shell stitch in the center double crochet of this next shell stitch. So you're going to skip 2 stitches into the third stitch of that shell stitch, work 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the chain 1 space, and double crochet into the next double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. And if you look at your work, all we're doing is stacking our stitches. We're working a shell stitch in the center of the shell stitch below, right in that center double crochet. And then you skip these stitches, work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip the chain 1 below, and double crochet into the next double crochet. So let's go ahead, do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and work 5 double crochet into the center double crochet of this shell stitch. Yarn over, insert into that center double crochet, work 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the next chain 1 space, and double crochet into the top of that next double crochet stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, the center stitch of that shell stitch. You're going to work 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochet of the shell stitch into the next double crochet, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1. And when you get to the end of your work, you're going to have your ending chain 4. Now again, you can go into the third chain. I just think it looks nicer into the second chain. It gives a smoother edge. You're going to yarn over and insert into that second chain from the bottom, 1, 2, and work a double crochet. Then you're going to remove your stitch marker and bring it up to the top of the last stitch made. Row 3 is finished. And if you notice, the openings in the beginning and ending look more uniform when you go into that second chain. So row 3 is the repeat row, so I'm going to work it one more time with you. So let's go ahead and begin row 4. For row 4, we're just going to repeat row 3. We're going to start with a chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to turn your work. You're going to skip that first chain 1 space and double crochet into that next double crochet stitch. Then you're going to remove your stitch marker. Then you want to count up from the bottom, 1, 2, and put it into the second chain of that beginning chain 4. Now we're going to start our repeat. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next stitch, that center double crochet of that 5 double crochet group, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and double crochet into the next stitch. You're going to chain 1, skip that next chain 1 space, and double crochet into the next double crochet stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. So let's do the repeat again. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches into the next stitch, which is the center stitch of that 5 stitch group. You're going to work 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and into the next double crochet, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, skip the next chain 1 space, and double crochet into the top of the next double crochet stitch. And that is the end of the repeat. So we have one more repeat to go. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and work 5 double crochet into this next stitch, which is the center stitch of that 5 stitch group. Work 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochet of that shell stitch into the next double crochet, work a double crochet. You're going to chain 1, and then you're going to work a double crochet into the second chain from the bottom of your ending turning chain 4. So if you're using stitch markers, then you're going to know exactly where to put that stitch. So yarn over, skip the next 2 chains, into the next chain, work a double crochet. Then you want to remove that stitch marker and bring it up and place it into the last stitch of the row. And this is just a wonderful way for beginners to know exactly where to put your first and last stitch when you start the next row. So now to continue working on your sample swatch, you're just going to repeat row 3 over and over again. If you need additional help, just click back on the video. And then this is what it's going to look like as you continue working. So no matter whether you use a solid white color, If you use a ombre color, or even if you want to use a multicolor, it's a fun, fast stitch for the spring summer season. Again, this is Stitch of the Week number 161, the lattice shells. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting. Bye, everyone.